Alright, welcome back. Today we're going to give these pedals a refresh. These are Rob Warner bass jump pedals from '99. Rob Warner's a famous downhill mountain biker back in the day. And these are made by Crud. You can see the little graphics on them. Pretty cool. These pedals were famous for ripping people's shins up. I think they're called bear trap pedals. But you can see the little stamp in there. It's a left or right pedal. And then it's got the 99 stamp as well. But yeah, this one spins pretty good already. I already done the right one. I'm going to do the left one today just to show you guys. I'm not sure if you can hear it, but this one feels a little bit more gritty than the other one. Might be hard to hear it, but you're going to have to take my word for it. The other one I serviced already. I've been running these on my CrossFort cargo bike. Been doing pretty well. But yeah, the first thing we're going to do is we need to take this rubber cap off. And I found a good way to do it is actually just use an old beer can. They're pretty thin, so what you need to do is just cut a bit off and fold it in half to make it a little bit thicker. You can press it together with your fingers, but I find it helps if you use a tool, maybe like a screwdriver or something. Here I'm just using a little socket tool to kind of press the ends to make sure it's really flat. And we're going to use this flat end to kind of pry open the cap without damaging it. You can see it's quite pressed there. So what you got to do is basically just find an edge where it's open a little bit. If it's not open, you can just try an area where it's not as noticeable and then slowly slide it in. This is probably the best way I found without damaging the caps at all. And you slowly slide it in all the way around. You can see I have a little bit of the corning in here already. You slide it in around. Just be careful. You don't have to go super fast. Eventually it will pop out. You can see the bottom edge there popping out already. And at that point you can just kind of keep going and it'll come off. So yeah, there we go. All popped out. You can see no damage or minimal damage at all. I also realized last time when I did it, it's a lot easier if you just take the cage off first. But yeah, even sometimes when you've been doing things for a while, you forget. So now taking off the screws. These are pretty tight, but a good tip is to hold the Allen key pretty close to the bolt and it'll stop it from slipping out. And just same for all the bolts there. You have to kind of hold the cage a little bit because it springs out. You'll understand if you ever run into these pedals. But yeah, not too much to it. Just got to unscrew these little bolts, make sure you don't lose them, keep them in a safe area. And then you can see it just slides out of the cage like that. But yeah, these are in pretty good condition, and I wasn't going to do a whole refresh on it because I'm going to run them anyway. But yeah, if you wanted to do that, you could. Here it takes a 12mm socket, and you just put a wrench on the other side so you can undo it undoes anti-clockwise. Just like that. I think it took a little bit of effort, but it wasn't too bad. And then after that, you can unwind the spindle. You can see this little nut came out. And then after the nut, there's a little plate in here, a little washer that's kind of angled, or it has two flat sides that runs into the spindle. So you just I just pried it out with a little Allen key. Just get one of the edges up and it should tap out. So that's out. And then yeah, this is the funny bit. I've got the socket tool for the bigger nut inside, but it doesn't fit because I guess the nut is a real close size to the cylinder. But yeah, what I found is you can just put a little Allen key in there and wedge it on the side, and then just unwind the spindle, and then that's how you get undone. Obviously, it's easier if you have the right tool, but sometimes yeah, you gotta just make use of what you got. And then here comes the spindle. You can see these bearings. These are teeny tiny bearings. I'm not sure what size they are actually, but they're smaller than the average small ones that I have. So usually I would replace the bearings, but for this one I'm just going to clean them out and yeah, use the same ones. You can see the little nut inside, and then here just make sure you get all the bearings out and don't lose any because you don't have any replacement ones, or you'll have to buy replacement ones. So yeah, I just use a little metal tray just to catch everything. Make sure you double check, no bearings on the inside. So yeah, there should be 26 bearings, 13 on each side. And then on the inside of the spindle, there's this little rubber cap that stops grease and dirt from getting in. And then just wipe off the spindle. Here's a nut here. The nut was super gunked up. It had really dried grease in there, so I'm glad it was time. You can also see some of the bearings. The bearings on one side was silver, and on the gunk side it was kind of brown. So hopefully when I clean these all up, they'll all turn silver again. But yeah, this is just a little, I'm using a little bit of WD-40 just to help loosen the grease. And then the little tray, the little circular tray, is actually the bottom of a beer can that I folded over. And I've been using this to clean bearings, and it's pretty nice because it has a little channel down the bottom. So all the dirt and stuff kind of falls into the channel, and then you can kind of just let it soak. Here I'm just scanning the bearings just to make sure I didn't lose any. So while that's soaking, I just wipe off the spindle. The spindle is, I guess the condition is okay, it's not that bad. There's no pitting marks on the actual surface, but yeah, you can see that it's probably not 100% brand new. This pedal's been around for a while. And then here, cleaning off the nut. So yeah, I just got what I could off with the brush and paper towel, and then I sprayed it with a little bit of WD-40, and yeah, had to let that soak. It was kind of really on there. And then here, just wiping off the rubber washer. Here again, you can see this piece of grease coming off. But yeah, I had to repeat this process a few times. Just wipe it, WD-40, let it soak, wipe it again, use a brush. Yeah, sometimes it's like that. And then here's the body. So since it had all that grease in there, I used WD-40 again to kind of help dissolve all the grease. And at this point, I may as well do a little bit of the body, just give it a brush up. Not a full buff, but it'll be clean enough. They're going to get dirty anyway once I put them back on the bike, so I didn't want to go full ham on this. And then here you can see I'm using a little cotton bud, clean out the inside, clean out the outside, paper towel. And yeah, the cotton bud tip I got off Red Dread. If you ever seen his channel, he does mountain bike videos too. But yeah, sometimes he's got some cool tips in there. But yeah, I use cotton buds to kind of clean out the inside of that race. And here, cleaning out this nut again. Yeah, this nut was really stubborn, but just do the best you can. Ended up being alright, wasn't too bad. And then here, clean up the body a little bit, just with the nylon brush, not to scratch anything, just a little bit of WD-40 nylon brush, and then paper towel, just wipe it off, and it was ready to go. Looks pretty cool. And then yeah, here just giving the table a quick clean before I start the assembly. The paper towel, here all the parts, all the nuts. Not that many parts actually, pretty simple design and made it real serviceable. So yeah, this is after I soaked it for a bit. You can see all the gunk kind of coming off, and then you just kind of stir it around. What I ended up doing was I left all the bearings in there and just wiped it with a paper towel. Tried to get all the dirt with the paper towel while the bearings were still there, and then I sprayed it with WD-40 again just to give it one final rinse, and then use a paper towel to yeah, soak it all up. And here you can see all the bearings. You probably noticed that the bearings all are silver now, which I'm pretty happy about. Before they were a little bit brown, so I'm glad that they cleaned up all right. And then here, just putting it back together using the spindle, this little rubber cap. I'm not sure if it goes this way with the channel or with the other channel out, but I think it probably doesn't matter too much. Here, just putting some grease in. I just use all-purpose Red Devil grease. Seems to work pretty well for me. I previously had Shimano, the Neon Shimano grease, which I like as well. I think the Shimano Neon grease smells a bit better. But yeah, I got tons of this stuff, so I'm going to use it all up first. And then here, this is my little magnetic spoke tool with the bearings. And then yeah, just put them all in. This is where you got to be careful to count your bearings and not have any fall in the body, because it could be a real pain if one bearing falls in and then you got all the other ones kind of loaded up in there already. But yeah, make sure you count bearings, 13 on each side. And then yeah, I put more grease on the spindle as well, just to make sure it's going to run nice and smooth. Just like that. And then yeah, just push it in, just make sure, again, don't get any bearings caught in the middle of the body. And then what you're going to do is want to keep your finger on the end of the spindle there, so no bearings fall out. And then this side's a bit easier, because you can just fill up with grease and put all the bearings in. The bearings are not going to go anywhere. And then yeah, just same thing again with the magnetic spoke tool. And just put all the bearings on the side with a little Allen key, more grease on top. And then you put the nut back on. So yeah, because I don't have a socket tool with a thinner sidewall, I just had to screw this in by hand or use an Allen key basically. You can see how I do it right here. And basically I just did it as tight as I could go. You can see sometimes after you put it in, it still has a bit of play. All the bearings are probably like setting in or sitting in correctly. And then I just kept tightening it a little bit more. And I just want to make sure there's no body play on the spindle. And I put that little washer in right there. And then the nut on top. So yeah, if you just tighten it up like this, your bearings are going to grind against the sidewalls. So it's a little bit of trial and error here, but I was lucky enough to be able to do it first go. It's not always the case. Usually it takes like 2 or 3 times. But what I do is I tighten the top bolt all the way, and you can see I'm putting the Allen key on the bottom bolt or bottom nut, and then loosening it a quarter turn, about pushing the nut against the other nut. And then now I'm going to tighten it up. And for this pedal, this time it worked out that it was the right pressure. So I could tighten it up pretty tight with the axle and the socket tool, or the wrench and the socket tool. Just like that. And then yeah, it spun pretty well, pretty good. There's no axle play. Make sure you give a good shake because you're going to stand on it. But yeah, you can see it spins pretty decent. Once I start riding on this, it'll probably loosen up a fraction. But yeah, this is kind of like perfect of how I usually set up my pedals. And then yeah, put the cap on. That just friction fit, pop it on. And then yeah, put the cage back on. There's no up or down on the cage, so you can just use whatever side you want. And then yeah, you just tighten the bolts in kind of a zigzag position. I usually do them all up pretty loose, and then just make sure the cage is fitting all right, and then I just tighten up all the bolts all the way around. Just like that. Just you don't have to do them super tight, just tight enough so they're not going to fall out, and they're nice and snug. And yeah, that's basically it. All done, feeling fresh. Now I can finally put these pedals on my bike, and you can see it's spinning super good. Pretty stoked on this. Yeah, it's worth doing. And then yeah, here's the other one already done. You can see they spin pretty similar, so that's great. So yeah, thanks for watching, hope you liked it, and catch you next one. Peace.